So I think it will come back now in a moment, the slides. So we'll be speaking a little bit about mobility. Mobility is one of the five areas that, without question, should be focus now and in the, I don't want to say months to come, because for some this is years to come. Depends on where you are now. So let me try to walk you through this, and let me also say, if you need anything specifically from me, case studies from your own industry, short question of where do we start? How soon can we expect investment if we sell this to this group of people, that kind of thing. Just email me at michael@leander.me, because I know that you come from many different backgrounds, so it was not possible for me to sort of find common ground, if you will, other than retail, right? So keep in mind that categories are very different, and they are going to remain very different as well over the coming years. So, okay, this one stopped working there. So some sold the idea about QR codes as the latest fad. Marketers jumped on that bandwagon. Here's an example from Sweden. Well, it's not really from Sweden. Sweden is my neighboring country, and we like to get on their case, right? Where you see that the marketing manager probably don't even know about this, but somebody placed the QR code that people would scan in this guy's clutch. And I don't know how many housewives would be seen, or maids for that matter, in the supermarket by the freezer with this package trying to scan the guy's clutch. I don't think that's very popular. So it's just an example of not using common sense. So maybe it's a good idea to have the QR code on the product packaging, but it matters where you place it. Here's another example from Sweden, where, as you can see, the QR code is on the wrong side of the label. And some Swedish guy tried to defend the Swedes. He told me that, no, that was the idea. Because the idea is you have two Swedish guys drinking beer, right? This is a beer. And then one discovers the QR code and tries to scan it. And then he says, I can scan the beer. And then the other guy said, well, go and buy another. Maybe that will work. You get the point? 25 beers later, they can still not scan, but they bought a lot of beer. I don't know what the real story is. So when we're thinking about mobility, it's not just about understanding all of the different new options we have, such as QR codes. It's about understanding the change in behavior. Look at this. That is such a significant change in how consumers and buyers interact with us. Have you ever thought about this? That we have a new mouse. And that mouse is used in many different ways. If you ever notice that men are quite aggressive. You know, they have their phone, and it's not like, you know, it has to be fast, it has to be manly, I would say macho. Whereas women is more like, I don't want to say in slow motion, it's more caring. You know what I'm saying? But this matters to how they receive the message. The likeliness is that men do not receive the message as efficiently if you don't have a lot of pictures that they can look at. Not because they can't read, but because of how they scroll. We'll get back to that in a moment. It could get a little bit technical, but thankfully we have only smart people in the room, so everybody gets it in a heartbeat. Then we have this thing to deal with, right? I mean, that's world crisis right there. Apple and Android. Two completely different people. Not friends. Appearing to be friends, but not really friends. Now, we don't really have that as a big issue in India right now because of Apple's, let's say, very expensive pricing. That could change, right? We don't know, because they're going to have to battle it out in India and China. If they don't, we are going to see their shareholder value start going down, right? So analysts think China, India, not ready yet for the level of pricing and quality that Apple is offering, but it's going to come at some point. Apple's going to have to address it. That's in new growth markets. So if they figure something out, which they probably will because they're pretty smart people and they're extremely rich, as you know, they can buy freaking countries with the amount of cash that they have, you're going to be battling the fact that you have to be something for iOS, in other words, Apple users, whether they're tablet users, smartphone users, or something else, while you also maintain your communication to give good experiences to those who are on Android. Or let's see what Microsoft does. I don't think they're going to do anything that actually works, but they might put something in the market. You know, they acquired Nokia, so who knows what's going to happen next with Microsoft. Did I just say that Microsoft isn't really good at what they do? I think I did. Thankfully, we don't have any media people here. So when you're looking at this and you're looking at how do I prepare my campaigns, how do I prepare my assets, my ecosystem, how do I design it? Try to think about these two scenarios. Think about how willing people are and how dedicated people are to interact with your message if they're leaning forward or leaning backwards, as a way of describing whether they're on a desktop computer or a mobility device, either a smartphone or a tablet. You see what I'm saying here? Do you think there's a lot of difference in commitment, whether we are in front of the computer or we're sort of leaned back? I think there's a huge difference. I can explain for myself, because I don't have research to back this up. I think when we are on a mobility device, out of home, let's say, we might search a lot more. We might get a lot of ideas about things we want to know about, but we're not very committed. Because when we are committed and we want to purchase something, we sort of already know, if you tried it once or twice, we already know that experience is not going to be great, right? Just entering your name, etc., on most websites is a nightmare on a smartphone. A little bit easier on a tablet, but very familiar on a desktop, right? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. But there are ways to address this, and let me, because you asked, let me just give one comment. I think it's very important to look at this whole mobility area and say, how do I address this? And then say, how do I design for small devices? How do I teach my designers to not use their, what's it called, 27-inch or whatever screens when they design? How do I force my designer to go somewhere with small pieces of paper that are 4.5 to 5.5 inch, but then maybe, let's say, 50 inches long? I'm not describing myself now, ladies. Don't worry about it. That was a bad joke in India. I just realized that. Shit. That would work in Sweden, but not here. Sorry about that. I do apologize. You get the point, right? Because when designers get things down to that little format, and then you tell them, this is not just to show a video or just to show some content. I want people to transact. I want people to use their credit card. Make it easy for them to do that. But you still got to, idea, right? Still got to attract their interest. You still got to convince them. But still, you only have 4.5 to 5.5 inch width, and then however long, perhaps, you want to use on the vertical part. Did that make sense? This is huge. I went on some of your websites. Again, I cannot mention any names because I don't think it would be fair. There's one company amongst all the companies represented here today who does a decent job of presenting themselves on a mobile device. The rest has issues. Some are huge. Some can be easily fixed. If I were you, I would be looking at this right now. Because here's the thing. If you can design efficiently for mobility, then it's a walk in the park, a piece of cake to design for bigger screens, right? Not the other way around. There are lots of people who can do the bigger screens, but they don't have a clue how to design on the 4.5 to 5.5 inch devices. So that's what I just said. You see how I customized the presentation? Do I get some points for that? No? Okay. I won't do it. A waste of time then. I won't do it. Next time I'll use a Swedish girl as a background. So here's what's going on in your market. Again, if you want the exact details, how things are growing, what people are using, ask somebody who has this information. I don't. I'm just trying to summarize here. Mobile internet first, that's what we just talked about, right? Because new internet users are coming on. Internet on a mobile device the first time, right? Especially pronounced in tier 2 and 3 cities and whatever else is beyond. Also villages with less than 50,000 people, right? That's how they experience the internet the first time. So it's logical that if we want to access those people, we need to design for them in the small devices as well. Increased data speed, you've all experienced that. Now 4G is launched. I believe Airtel has been running a huge campaign to prove that the 4G is faster than anybody else's or whatever it is. Or was it 3G? 4G, right. So obviously the volume is going to be there, and when the volume is there for these telco providers, the prices are going to go down, right? So before long, you're going to be enjoying the kind of attractive rates that Europe now are enjoying and still get 1 gigabyte, 2 gigabyte, 5 gigabyte per month with your subscription. Maybe it doesn't happen this year, maybe not next year, but it's going to come, and it's probably going to come sooner than you think. These two things, are you following me? That means people are going to spend more time online doing stuff, also shopping, because they have the bandwidth. They don't sit there and worry about how long have I been online, how much have I been downloading, right? They will be able to more freely just surf the web, watch videos, and is that what you do, watch videos? No? Not much. You're an efficient woman. Yes. Okay. Me time increases. Me time is entertainment time, right? I have another slide about that, but keep that in mind. 40-some% of the time we spend on a mobility device is me time. I'm entertaining myself, right? Brands need to ask themselves, how do I hook into that? Location-based services and opportunity. Not a necessity, because I don't want to be that kind of guy who says, if you don't go local immediately, you're gone. Like some American dude might, or some other dude. Doesn't have to be American, it could be from Sweden. No, because it's not entirely true. There's still a lot you can do, even if you're not specifically addressing a person you know is in whatever city, Chennai, let's say, right? But you know that when we have a mobile subscriber or mobile user, you also know exactly where that person is, right? Exactly. You will actually exactly know if that person is in your shop. Are you following me? You will exactly know where the person is. Keep that information in the back of your head. Remember we talked about data privacy legislation? I think you all need to address that. Find somebody like the DMAI, the Data-Driven Marketing Association of India. Tell Vatsal Asha and Shelly Singh it's about time that they start lobbying, because it's hurting all of you that you do not have data privacy legislation in place in India. It is hurting you badly. And it's going to keep hurting you if you don't do something about it. And you can, if all the brands come together and say, yes, we want legislation, and we want the government to make consumers aware of this legislation. It will take 5 to 10 years before you get on the white side, so to speak, but once you are there, it's going to be a huge opportunity for brands. Then we talked about the local language, right? So if you know somebody has Kannada, is that a language? Yeah. If that's the language they have on the computer, then you might switch and communicate in Kannada, and if it's a Hindi language setting, you communicate in Hindi and so on. You're following me. But let's be realistic. Some of you guys can do that now because you have the bandwidth to produce all of that content. For many of us, it will be a wish of something we can do some years down the line when we have proven ourselves in the digital space so that we can get the funds to handle this. So being responsive. You go to conferences, seminars, guys that know a lot about this, they'll say you just need a responsive website. I say that's a load of crap. That is exactly like buying the Tata Nano when you need a Mercedes 500. I am serious. It's not a solution just to create a responsive website. Because all that means is that you have something designed for big screens that sort of, what do you call this in English, narrows down and fits with different screen sizes. But how's the experience going to be? Not good. Even if you have somebody intelligent working for your agency or internally who knows how to rearrange placement. Are you following me now? Think about a website, 5 pictures at top. When that narrows down to small size, did somebody decide which order these pictures are going to be placed in, or did that just happen randomly? For most websites, happened randomly. So are we giving people a good experience? No. Are we helping ourselves convince and convert the people who are using our website from mobile device? No. Because most likely that communication on top, what we also know as top of funnel, doesn't make sense. So there's friction. That means there's another action. That's the scroll. With guys, it happens fast. With girls, not so fast, right? But still, there's more involvement that is an unnecessary involvement. It's not funny to scroll further just to see if there's something of interest. Are you following me? It's a different scenario if you see above the fold, as we call it, something interesting. So you get that emotional connection and say, I want to learn more. I'm going to scroll down. And there's a mental decision made at this point in time if you study psychology and human behavior, which is, I'm going to give this time. And that's really all we need in the digital space. We need somebody to say, this is interesting and relevant enough for me to say, I'm going to give this some time to fully comprendo, that's Spanish, what this is all about. Does this make sense to you? Keep this in mind. I could tell you all kinds of stuff about do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that, but you know what? You're going to create better solution for yourself if you just think about these behavioral aspects. It is really commonsensical. I cannot believe I'm getting paid to stand here. Oh, okay, I traveled more than 40 hours to get here, so I guess it's fair enough. But still, when we look at your mobility space, that's a huge component in your future ecosystem. Let's look at a few of the things that matter. This one we talked about already, address privacy. Now that works two ways. Either there's legislation or not. But whether one or the other, you have a contract with every single consumer who gives you data. Are you following me? And it's important to you that the consumer knows exactly what you're going to do with the consumer's data. You want to be very clear about that you don't sell it, that they can unsubscribe from text messages, email, telephone calls, whatever it may be, whenever they want. You still with me? Excellent. Had a rough night? Yeah, me too. That could have been funny in Sweden as well, right? But not in India. Customer service points and point of sale. How are you going to tackle that? You have a problem in India. It's more pronounced in India than many other places, which is that the people working inside shops do not get enough education. I know because many of them told, can you believe in Delhi, I was once in, what's this? It's one of the men's brand, okay? There were 3 other customers in there, and I don't know how they found out what my name was, but maybe somebody Googled, and before I knew it, 15 guys were standing around me, and I made it like a 10,000, is that what you call it? Yeah, 10,000 purchase. And all these people standing around said, sir, would you mind training us? I'm like, what? Yes, train us so we're better at servicing customers and stuff like this. But why would I do that? Yeah, and can we tape it on video? I said, no, I could do 10 minutes of giving you guys tips, but you should have a training program, don't you? They said, yeah, we do sometimes, but it depends on our results. What? The reverse. If you do well, you get training. If you don't do well, you don't get training. How are people going to grow this way, I ask myself? I'm not smart enough to figure it out. It works the other way around normally, right? So, and training is not about selling only. If you're selling expensive jewelry, apparels, doesn't matter what it is, product knowledge is incredibly important, right? And to really, really understand it and to be honest about what products you're selling. Because you don't want angry customers coming back, and you don't want angry customers talking shite about you on social media, do you? No, you don't. So look at how could you leverage mobility on point of sale. Remember what we talked about before, the display part? But it could be a way of building internal employee portals where they can look up information that easily connects, maybe with a barcode or QR code with the product. So if you're not the manufacturer of the product, you ask your, what do you call them, vendors, to provide you with this barcode on when they label their clothes, right? So that your people can quickly look up. When people ask, is it 100% cotton? They don't just say, yes. They say, you know, I'm not sure, because it's a new product. We just got it. Let me check. Psst. Yes, it's 100% cotton, made in India. Right? Content opportunities and gamification. I'll get back to this one, but this one is very important as well. Your local interactions and the listening part. You see what we just talked about? Unhappy clients will go online, different places, and they will talk bad stuff, negative words. They will call you all kinds of things. You need to do something about it. Here's the problem. People expect an answer. Problem numero uno. Secondly, people expect an answer in India within 3 minutes and 16 seconds. That's the expectation they have. Now, you may have given them a different expectation in your communication, but they still have the same expectation. They think that in digital and social media, when they reach out to you and say, hey, I have a problem with something, they think it's absolutely the same as if I just go to you and say, hello, I have a problem. It's not like you're going to say, excuse me, Michael, hold on for a day, stand right there, okay, and then I'll just go and I'll come back, right? It's not like that. Would you agree? When you post in somewhere you're not happy about your BMW, you want an answer quickly, right? Yes. Yeah, everybody. Keep that in mind. So maybe you can't do 3 minutes 16, maybe it's 4 hours, maybe it's 10 hours. But the faster, the more care you show about your clients. So you have to set up some listening mechanisms where whenever your brand name, the products that you sell or manufacture are mentioned, you get a notification, just like I do. I get notifications all the time. Unfortunately, I stopped reading because it's all bad. I can't handle it anymore, you know? But still, I get the notification whenever my name is mentioned. So let's drop the location-based services for now and come back to that with an example, if I remember correctly. These, I think, are the primary components in your addressing of mobility, right? These are all important components, but if I was to prioritize, if I was the boss person saying, hey, I can't do all of this right now, that's just simply not possible, we don't have the resources, we don't have the skills, we don't have the whatever, I would actually start here and combine it with this. Remember I said that I think marketing should control customer service? This is exactly why. So I start figuring out, how do I service my customers through digital? Social media, whatever we want to call it. How do I start listening and then combine the two? Then I have a really good equation where I can show return on marketing investment really quickly. Because what we know about dissatisfied customers who talks to us is what? It's a cry for help, isn't it? When I say, I'm not happy, Google, well, Google's not going to listen, sorry about that. Bad example, I have them all the time. I'm not happy, Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker knows that this is me saying, please give me some attention, like a little baby, right? I don't like. Because if I was really, really so pissed that I would never do business with them again, I wouldn't even talk bad about them, would I? It's a cry for help, and what do we know? Anybody who cries for help, if they are helped in an efficient and professional way, do they become a better or worse customer? Exactly. They're likely to sell more, and in social media, digital, even more importantly, they're going to tell other people about the experience, right? You know what? I had this problem with Johnny Walker. They said there was a liter in the bottle. It was only 0.9999. I complained. But they responded to me and said they were sorry, so they're sending me the missing part plus a little bit extra. And everybody's happy, right? Yeah, you mean in the analytics part. Exactly, yeah. In the insights, exactly. And that's important, but it's also important that it's qualified response. I always thought, dealing a lot with airlines, because like I said, I travel too much, so most of my customer services with hotels or airlines, actually. And people who just tell me which email to send an email to or which number to call are hardly helping me. I could figure that out on my own, you know, by going to the website. So I like people who can actually solve the problems, and are empowered to solve the problems. And that's why I'm getting back to marketing controlling this. Because marketing typically are better educated, have more knowledge, and are more holistic thinkers than people who work in the silo of customer service or in IT, for that matter, with all due respect. right? That's why we're in marketing, isn't it? Because we have that broader perspective as opposed to somebody who chose customer service or IT or another profession, which is a little bit more narrow. Very good input. Thank you very much for that. So essentially what we've just been talking about a little bit, and I don't want to overcomplicate this because I know where we are. We're in 2015. I think it's the month of September. And we have to take things step by step. If we don't take it step by step, we're going to fail. There's not a single company on earth who can just do this right by racing through all of the processes. But what we have to learn is how do we mix this up? The connectivity, in other words, where people are when they interact with us. What kind of, oops, I didn't complete the slide. What kind of context are they in when they interact with our message, and what is the content that we serve to them? Are you following me? The great thing about living in 2015 and being in marketing and communication is that it's actually possible to do this with a reasonable budget, right? It's personalization and customization. That's what's going on here, right? And because of how we can read data, especially location-based stuff, we know which device, etc., we're actually able to do this if only we have the content. And that's typically the problem. Are you following me? That we don't have we haven't built so many different content pieces addressing more or less the same issue that we're actually able to put this into motion. So when you look at mobility, I'd like you, those of you who are responsible in your companies for this, please don't do it now, but do it after, maybe as the first thing. Check your rankings on Google from your desktop, and then check it on your mobile device. Let me show you what I found out, and I'm embarrassed to say I did this only recently in preparation of a talk somewhere. And because I'm such an egotastical person, I of course used a search term where I knew my site would come up on the first page of Google. So I searched for Facebook engagement rate. Number one, this is on the mobile phone, the smartphone, was Facebook. Number two was Michael Leander, that's me, yeah! Okay, number three was LinkedIn. So I'm in good company there, right? Anyways, it happened by accident, by chance. It's not because I'm brilliant, seriously. No, it's completely organic. And how it happened, I have no idea, but it happened. And it's actually been there for several years. And I'm not really capitalizing on, that's a different story. Over here we have my desktop, and here I am on a Mac. Over here I'm on Android. Maybe that makes a difference. Facebook still number one, michaelleander.me still number two, but oops, what happened there? Simply Measured is now number 3 over here, but they're not even in top 3 over here. So the search results have changed depending on which device I search from. Keep also in mind that on mobile devices, it's not about being in top 10, about being in top 3 or top 5. It depends on screen size, resolution, that kind of thing. But it's not top 10, that's for sure. On tablets, yes. The standard size tablets, yes, but not on smartphones of this size. I don't even know what this is. Maybe this is the HTC thing, so maybe it's 5.5 inches or something like that. Okay, so that's one thing you want to check on your main keywords, maybe even your own brand name or product names. Want to go and check to see what is my position across various different devices. We talked a little bit about this, and it's not even an attempt to be humorous, in case you spotted one of the pictures there. This is the scenario as well. When we talk about what you need to know about consumer behavior, think about where are people when they're interacting with your content, and what are they doing? So a good way to start is to figure out if people are from a home location or not when they access. Are they accessing mostly at night, which seems to be the trend? It's not even a trend, it's the current status in India, that most of the internet traffic, correct me if I'm wrong, believe is from 8 till? 7 p.m. onwards, right. That's prime time for internet, so to speak. You want to check these numbers for yourself. Find the statistical information that is readily available on various, even government portals, and then check your own stats. See what people are doing. Understand from 7 p.m. onwards, are they now on a tablet, Are they on the smartphone, or are they on their home computer, or are they on their TV? Because they could be on their, if they have one of these smart TVs, right? They could actually be accessing from their TV with a much higher resolution as well, which you most likely are not even prepared for. Are you following me? Because now we blow it up to a 36 plus inch, and your whole product page is going to be displayed there, but it was optimized for, let's say, 1200. That's when we say, Houston, we have a problem, right? Because that product is not going to look... thank you very much. Oh, she's so nice. She tells me what time it is 24 hours a day. She's never off. Go study your analytics. Don't just ask some guy to send you the numbers. Ask for access to, let's say it's Google Analytics, whatever you're using. Ask for access, because they can give it to you. If they say they can't, it's not true. They can give it to you. They can just limit it to the part they want you to see, and then go and study this. Study the trend. See how this is playing out, and you'll much better understand how to invest in this area. So I talked about primary above the fold. Remember that? I have this thesis. Again, I have absolutely no examples to back this up with. I did something with some huge brands about a year and a half ago, but it's not exactly the same. You remember we talked about the behavior, right? The scrolling behavior? Right. If this is true, what we talked about before, and I think it is, then maybe we shouldn't be so concerned about above the fold anymore. So wherever touch is in play, which could be, right? It could be on a computer, because they now all come with touch ability, right? And because we're so used to the touch thing, the next generation of people, whoever they are, they're not even going to reach out for the mouse or the, what you call the touchpad, track point, whatever. Like I said, sorry, English is my fourth language, and sometimes I have other languages standing here. They want to come out before the English word. That's why I screw up. I say this for the creative folks out there, and those of you who are part of planning this, for any type of campaign or asset. Maybe we don't look at it as a way of convincing people above the fold. Maybe we look at the above the fold as the primary landing place for which we attract people to do more. Are you following me? We see that merely the same way as a good retail store would look at their shopping window, right? A way to attract people to come in and spend some time and feel the goods and talk to the folks in the shop. So if you plan this way, I work with a concept that I've dubbed most wanted response, also known as MWR. And I believe we need to limit the number of most wanted responses we have for any activity. But let's say for this example that we could have as many as 5 most wanted responses. So we take our most wanted response 1 and carry it through to out if we know that's what people are interested in. If we're not sure what people are interested in, we spread the most wanted responses throughout the top part. Are you following me? So you would have shoes over here, you would have whatever, makeup over here, lingerie over here, bijouterie over here, and so on. So are you following this concept? So essentially, you're not planning to convince people on a small piece of real estate. You're planning for people to come in, interact with your message, and then start scrolling to know more. For those of you who are a part of the production and creative processes, each scroll ideally has to fit the display. Comprenez-vous? You understand? Scroll once. I don't come to half of the previous message, half of the next message. I come to the new part of the message with the image, the headline, etc., etc. This was not supposed to be a tactical class, but let me give you just 2 more for those of you who are into that role. Big buttons. Big buttons. 1/3 of all clicks on advertisements in mobility are by accident. For that reason, you want to use big buttons so that you make it easy for people to click on whatever you want them to click on. Now, if you look at this in the relation to your main website, now you see we have an issue, don't we? Because if all you're doing is a responsive environment at the moment, which is fine for the moment, you need to have those big buttons on the main website as well. Are you following me? Because unfortunately, you're not mobile native. If you were mobile native, you would actually have a site that was developed specifically for mobility visitors. You don't have that right now, so here's how you go about it. To summarize, big buttons on all your call to actions on your main website. Test it, okay? what I found, the guys I've helped test is that a big button with a hyperlink right below the button seems to work best. Why? I don't know. That's the problem with testing. You can test a lot of stuff, but you typically don't really know why something worked better than something else. I hope this made sense for you. When we talk about mobility and advertising opportunities, I think we're living in exciting times where creativity can really get room to flourish, because so many things we couldn't do 5, 10 years ago, we can actually do now relatively easily. I've just given you one example. If you want my PDF and folder with a bunch of award-winning mobile marketing is what we call them, campaigns, it's not going to cost you anything, because I can do it in less than 15 minutes. Just send me an email. But I don't want to spread it around to too many, because I've spent a lot of money actually collecting and time away from my children. And as you know, that is when you have 17 children like I do and have been homeless for so many years, then yeah, it's just sad. Anyways, here we have a traditional banner ad, right? We've seen many of them from Dunkin' Donuts. But look at this part. It says that I'm only 1.2 miles away from a Dunkin' Donuts. When we click here, it opens a new window on my mobile screen, and it gives me the offer. It reiterates the offer that probably attracted me in the first place over here, and then it gives me the closest Dunkin' Donuts, where I can click here, tap to map, in other words, tap to get directions. Okay, this could connect with Google Maps, or there's another map, my MapQuest or something like that. In India, for example, could also connect to one of their solutions if you find that Google might not work or is too expensive or whatever it may be. Don't you think that's a smart solution? It helps the customer, right? If I really wanted that latte and I want it for 99 cents between 2 and 6 p.m., it just gives me everything I need to know. All I have to do is pretty much just drive there. And think about putting this type of stuff into your advertisements online. There's some few Indian brands who are doing this. They're putting intelligence into the advertisements already. But you should be doing that as well. Use it as a way of entertaining people as well. And when you use video in your online advertisements or your mobile advertisement, don't expect people to watch it right away. What does that tell you? It tells you need a trigger. Think about no sex on the first date. That applies even if it's not a purchase thing, right? Would you agree? If it's a 5-minute interesting story, it still applies, which means this little doohickey that says, not ready to watch now, that's really important. Not ready to read now, not ready to buy now, not ready to sign up now, needs to lead to events, is what I call them, right? Where you collect data so that you can follow up, right? And you can say, so-and-so name, here's your reminder to watch the 5-minute story about how we create the best leather shoes in the industry, for example. So we talked about the me time. I'm not going to go through that again, because I said over 40%. It turns out 46% of time spent on mobile. This is global, by the way, not India, global. 12% spent on shopping. My guesstimate is that the shopping bit is much less in India right now in terms of transactions, right? In terms of actually completing a purchase. But it could be more, would you agree? In terms of browsing around to look, what can I buy? What does that tell you as a marketer, as a professional? Doesn't that tell you that's an opportunity for you, right? If people are browsing for ideas, if they have aspirations and dreams, that's great input for you in terms of what content you're going to provide to people to start the dialogue. It's also an opportunity to nudge, exactly. But it starts with understanding, what are they doing out there? What would they like? And how can we help deliver it even before we try to sell to them? That's absolutely right. Look at this campaign. A little bit more on the advanced side, a campaign that leverages what, in my opinion, is the most important part to know in marketing. That is, be where your customers are. Simple, simple, simple. Yet, we try to overcomplicate this. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Are you okay?
Yes.
I'm okay too. Thank you for asking. So, Vodafone learned that skeptical customers, potential customers of theirs, spend time in the Bucharest metro and the surrounding stations leading into the center of Bucharest, which is the capital city of Romania in Eastern Europe. So their claim was, our internet is the fastest, etc., etc. People didn't believe it. Because a few people had problems, they blew it up on social media, on blogs, etc., etc. So what they do is the only thing you do, which is they proved it. What they did is they posted all of these, well, displays, posters, displayed the posters, posted the displays, whatever it is in English. All of them had a tracking code, not a tracking code, a scanning code, so that people could see for themselves how fast the internet was. The way it worked, you go to you're in the metro, you see the sign, you can download any book you want for free. Guys would go look for the Bible because they know the Bible is very heavy, because they wanted to disprove Vodafone's claim. Girls would probably go look for some, I don't know what girls look after, something about a handsome man or something, who falls in love with somebody and then somebody, I don't know. Point is, a lot of people used this opportunity, and it worked. Also for the people who downloaded the Bible. It could also be Dostoevsky Idiot, because that is also a pretty heavy book, right? There are others like that. What do you think about that campaign? Excellent campaign. And think about the word of mouth and how it happens. Think about people. When you activate people this way, it doesn't matter if it's inside your shop or your outfit, or it's outside, or if it's an activation campaign, experiential one happening somewhere. The fact that people that are not employed by you get to interact with each other, that just amplifies the strength. So thank goodness for Vodafone that this didn't backfire. I mean, if the internet had a bad day that day, it would really backfire on Vodafone as well. But thankfully it didn't, and this great campaign won lots of awards for efficiency, which I believe is the best kind of award to win. So what I've been saying here as well is, don't count the customers you reach, reach those who count. Be where your customers are. Don't be where everybody is, just because the numbers are big. 15 lakh or whatever you call it, 3 crore audience, I don't know the English way of counting, right? You have 3 crore audience, who cares? Because I only need 2 lakh of them. You following that train of thought? To me, and I hope again I'm not offending anyone, if I am, please don't raise your hands. To me, there are 2 types of marketers. There are those who are willing to do the job efficiently, and they're the lazy ones. To me, today in 2015, the lazy ones over here, they just go wherever they have critical mass. They pick 3 media, 5 media max, they create 2 to 5 advertisements, whether they're TV, print, whatever it is, and they go. And they know there's a lot of waste, right? The efficient ones, they're willing to do the work. Because the work could involve being in 50 different media, with 300 different advertising messages in 3 different languages, but it's going to be efficient. It's going to bring a lot better return on marketing investment. And the modern marketer, the people that we are hopefully educating at the good institutions in India right now, are going to be people like that. People who can handle not segments, but profiles to a whole different level than we've ever seen before. I have to speed up because we have 50. So some of this is going to be really fast, but actually was planned that way, just for you to get a little bit of seed into various parts of your wonderful brain, so that when you discuss these things and everything else you're going to learn being part of this wonderful conference and the knowledge sessions that you've had here today, it's going to give you some juice to maybe make some changes. So branding is still important. A lot of born and bred digital guys and gals, they'll say, no, branding is a waste of money. Have you ever heard that? I have heard it because I've been at so many conferences, and I sometimes want to kick people in the face. Can you imagine? Like there's 2 keynote speakers, and the first guy says branding is not important now, and then you have to go after him, and you don't want to speak. You just want to box him first and then kick him in the nuts after, because of course it's not true. It all comes together. If you have, oh, sorry, let me wait with that one. If you have a strong brand, your messages are going to be received better anywhere. Trust factor is huge online. Would you agree? especially the first time you ask people to give their debit or credit card. It's huge. Will they really deliver my goods? Will they overcharge? It says they will charge 3,244 rupees, but maybe what if they charge 30,000? Are you following me? It's a huge thing. So if you're a known brand, I don't know so off the bat, but let's say Tata is a very well-known brand here, Aditya Birla, something also very known brand, and so on and so forth, right? Then it's not as big a problem. It may still be a bit of a problem, but not as big if it's Michael Leander. Give Michael Leander 3,200. Oh my goodness, what is he going to do, this Michael Leander guy? And what kind of name is that, by the way? And he's also ugly. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go somewhere else. So branding is more than just a name. Now we're doing the laughing inside bit. Pea Cola is very popular. It's the market leader in Ghana. Because pea is not the kind of pea that you're thinking about now in Ghana. It means something else. Here's a couple of other brand names. And that's the funny thing about history, actually, because when the Golden Gay time started, gay meant gay. Not gay, but, you know, having a gay time. If you look at movies from the, I think, 30s and 40s, people would say that all the time. Let's go have a gay time. Yeah, I know, but you say that today. If I say that to you, you're going to smash me in the face, right? Or maybe not. Maybe you're going to throw me kisses. I don't know. But so you know, you have to be careful. But this was really just to humor you a little bit. But there is a point to this, because a brand is not branding. A brand name is part of everything. Look at what Erich Joachimsthaler, who is from Vivaldi Partners Group, whatever that is. I actually don't know what the company does. But he said something which I thought was interesting. So there's no need for me to reinvent the wheel here. I think what he says here is actually spot on. Today, brands are built in entirely new ways. Brand values are no longer just communicated. They are delivered and experienced. I could not have said that better myself. That is spot on. So what it also tells us is not just the promises and the whole value system and the traditional brand DNA. Marketers have to be a lot more involved in all of the other processes that we've typically had other people to do, right? Like creating the products and delivering them and fulfilling it and after service and so on. We have to take a bigger interest. And we have to make sure that if the Marriott, it's not called the Marriott here, Renaissance, if the Renaissance promises all of this, they better damn be sure that they can deliver it. Because if just one thing goes wrong with me in particular, if they said quick check-in, they better deliver quick check-in, you know? Especially when you come from other lands and you've been, you know, flying for a long time, and when you get there, you want to get to your whiskey as soon as, the room as soon as possible, right? So, no, but so many things can go wrong. Here's what I like about it. It forces us to chew the words we use in our promises. Are you following me? Perhaps if we had that responsibility, we wouldn't be so quick to say the best in the world, the cheapest in the world, the lightest in the world, etc. Maybe we'd think twice about making such promises. So the experience lives on so many levels. Look at this restaurant, the first mover to actually have one of those things. What are they called? Drones. Thank you very much for the English teaching. The drones serve the food. Nothing more than a gimmick, but let's go back to why they did it. Word of mouth, right? They saw that's the value, not just from the customers there, but the media is going to pick it up really quickly as well. So it works once, but when it works as a first mover, it's powerful. Especially if you have nationwide distribution in a country like India, and you do it well, and people love it. The media is going to pick it up. But you think about, how do I deliver a better experience also on point of sale? How could I leverage what's possible with digital and mobility to give people a better experience even when they're in the shop? It's really tough to sit down for so long, isn't it?
I also travel a lot. So.
Yeah, I see that. Kind of see the way you... Yeah, we do that. Okay. Now, I don't know if we should believe the number here, because these consulting companies, they throw out all kinds of sort of Nostradamus-like prophecies about what's going to happen in the future. But maybe there is some truth to this. By 2020, customer experience is expected to surpass product and pricing as the key differentiator. Here's a thesis of mine. Now, I haven't been employed for many years. I have once been employed, also in large companies. And I think sometimes when the way we position ourselves, for example, is on price, everybody who comes on board quickly learns that, and it's actually hard to go back and see, are there other ways we can differentiate? Are you following that train of thought? So here's a potential threat for anyone who's got price as differentiator, because maybe that's not really what consumers want. Even if the product is cheaper in the market, so further down, if you will, talking to lesser income segments. Because when lesser income segments, they see the experience others are getting just for purchasing products, don't you think they want it too? They don't understand that just because I'm only paying, I'm just saying something, 800 rupees for a pair of pants, why can't I get the experience? Why can't I get the free coffee? Why can't I have nice ladies serving me when I'm in the shop? Why can't I get free, what's it called, this thing? Fitting, is that what it's called? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, exactly. So I'm in trouble with my language. I do apologize. It doesn't happen every day, only when I'm extremely worn out. So speaking about this, I'm going to show you a little video. It's really, really important that we don't think of our consumers as morons or stupid people, or that we are smarter than them. They will never figure out that I didn't give you the service that you deserve, right? Let me show you the video first, and then we'll continue.
First piece she eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. Give a rock to us. And that's what she does.
I just started over because you couldn't hear it.
Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again. So this is
So if you look at digital, this is actually very interesting, because sometimes you can fool your audience to think that they did something wrong, and that's the reason it didn't work. I used to manage software companies, and in support they had this thing where they would just tell people, RIFM, which actually stands for read your effing manual, right? And that was a way to tell people you're stupid, because you didn't read the manual. But today people very quickly find out that it's not because they didn't read the manual, it's simply because things aren't working, right? So there's no reason to try to fool them. On the other hand, if people transact on your e-commerce site, for example, it's very, very important to do like some of the leading e-commerce companies here, make sure that help is always available on your site. And even if you're not transacting, are you following me now? Whether it's chat online, that kind of thing, or send an email or call this number if something isn't working, make sure that you have the processes in place. And don't overpromise. If you can't do 24/7, don't promise it. If you can't do Sundays or Saturdays, don't promise. If you can't do Diwali, don't promise. Are you following me? Be truthful so that when people see, there's help, they get a very positive experience because there was help. It was available, and maybe it couldn't solve my problem, but at least there was help, I think is very important. So doing business online is, of course, inevitable for most of us eventually, but you got to be sure that when you play that game that you know the rules. One of the rules is you don't bluff people, because once somebody finds out, it comes right back at you, but not just from one person. All the other people who didn't say anything in the first place who saw that one complaining is going to come back at you as well. Be transparent in everything you do. That's a hard one for corporations, right? Let's take, there's a brand, it's actually an American brand. It's called Polo something. Polo, I don't wear it. Polo Association or something like that. US Polo Association. So I bought quite a lot of their stuff here because it's hard to get the real Ralph Lauren, as I like to call it. And it's also much cheaper and not too bad. But that's the problem. Sometimes it's not too bad. Other times it's crap. Seriously. I think they're speculating. Anyone? No, I know nobody's here from that organization. I've had that experience many times in India. Also buying stuff for my children. Even very well-known global brands, right? I think it's speculation. The point is, it doesn't work anymore because of the transparency. Somebody doesn't know that because he paid $17.95 for one polo and not $25.95, that polo is going to be a lot worse than the other one. Are you following me? So you got to take these things into consideration in terms of your business model as well. So make it easy for people to do business with you. Now, I just wanted to mention, I came across this company. It's called Litmus. It's a new Indian company, and I think they get it. They're developing a technology that allows brands, whether retail brands, financial services brands, etc., to listen and respond in real time to their customers. That's the one thing their solution does, and that is needed. Because one thing is to have the plan to do it, but also to have the tools that allows your people to do it. Secondly, they analyze what's going on in your market and make this analytics actionable as well. The rating component, what I've seen from their app is just amazing. The way they've designed that, how easy it is for people to do their rating and also their bad mouthing and so on is very smart. If you want to know more about them, I'm not sure even what their website is, but you can just let me know. Otherwise, you get the slide. I'll see if I can find the link and go in. I know they're run by some really, really professional guys from Loyalty. That's how actually I know about them, because I judged the, whatever it's called, Loyalty Awards thing. There might be other solutions similar to this, but you want to check these things out if you want to go down this route of really listening to your customers and engaging with them. Here's a real example from last week where I had an issue. I'm on a plane, I think from Miami to somewhere else, and I realize I'm not going to make my connecting flight because of thunderstorms or something like that. Hurricanes, I think it was, in Miami, so the plane couldn't leave. So I thought, what the heck, I'm just going to try with American Airlines to see if they can help me on Twitter. Because I'm going to get a story no matter whether they help me or not. They help me. You see? Want to have it. Thanks for the, we're already looking and we'll respond. And actually, by the time I got to Houston or wherever it was that I got to, they already fixed my onboard connection. And I should mention, although I'm the highest category in the loyalty program, they didn't know that. I don't think I revealed that anywhere in the Twitter. So they treated me like they pretty much would somebody who travels once every 5 years, right? But look what also happened. You see this person? You can almost hear her screaming, "Which flight are you? People here are seriously complaining." And she goes on and on and on. I think it's a she. I don't know why I think it's a she. Seriously, she didn't stop for 2 days because she was so pissed at American Airlines. Like, I think she wanted to kill somebody if they had the uniform on. And there I was defending them. And so on and so on. You get the point, right? Here's what usually happens. If you have one complainer and you're a good brand, you will have a minimum of 5 people defending you. And that's what's so great about this, in my opinion, actually. So be transparent, but manage these processes. You need to be in control. You cannot allow your consumers, customers, prospects, whatever, to control that conversation. We talked about different other opportunities. Anyone would like some candy? Yeah, let's just pass it around. I see a lot of people saying, "Don't send it here," but and I can understand why. I think some other examples from the personalization aspect, which is a very important aspect of this as well, is, you know this already, the Coke example, right? Here's Coke Australia, allowing people to customize the drink. Think about these things. Think about the experience of that. Whether it's a Coke, it's a shirt, it's some linen, it's candles, it's a gift, whatever it is. Think about how can I use my web presence maybe to allow people that kind of experience. And again, because everything is going to be new in your industry, if you're a first mover, you're also going to get the added media exposure, the fact that people start talking about it and so on, which is very valuable. Gamification works, but you have to be really, really good at getting it right to make it work. Let me give you an example that worked in terms of what the objective was. The objective was to get PR. The brand is a condom company. There are other names for that. And they created an app. The app allowed people, couples, if they were wearing the underwear that goes with the app, to be together without being in the same room. So the guy would get the app and he would, let's say, tickle her a little bit through the app. Are you following me? Did I just step over a line here? Yes. Didn't you see the media coverage for this? It was like crazy. And they had these testimonials of girls saying, it's just so nice that even if we are 1,000 miles apart, I can still be with him. And he can feel my touch, and I can feel his touch. But they have to wear that underwear, otherwise it wouldn't work. I see some of you are interested in this underwear. I don't know if they sell it anymore. So that gamification component has created a lot of successes, but it's really important to understand you have to be really good to make it right, for that to be successful. Even to get people to download an app today is not too difficult, right? But to get people to use the app they download, that's like almost harder than beating India in cricket. No, this is not a group where you get cheap points. Yeah, well, whatever. So let me just close this one. Because I want to make sure that we get to cover everything, I'm just going to skip a few slides ahead and then maybe come back to this. Where did it go? This is a video that I thought I had time to show you, but can you do that, please? But I don't think I will. But all the videos that I've shown today are on a site called Marketingtelly.com. So if you want them, you can go there. They might also be on my YouTube thing. Marketingtelly.com. So every video I've shown here today is gonna be there. So if we have time, I'll come back to it. But like I said before, if you want that access to that folder with all those different, award-winning case studies, just let me know, and I'll give you access to the folder. This is part of it. Let's talk a little bit about something that most people find not too fantastic, because it seems a little bit technical, a little bit complicated. There's a lot of data involved. In fact, you can't do anything if you don't have data. But let's start with where we are going. So this is another one of these outcries, Nostradamus-like sentences. By 2020, customers will manage 85% of their relationships without talking to a human. We're not talking about that kind of relationship, by the way. We're talking about the relationship with brands. Maybe that should have been more clear. Now, maybe I don't think that's going to happen by 2020. I certainly don't think it's going to happen in India by 2020, let alone in Denmark or Sweden and Norway, which are the most digitized, if that's even a word, countries in the world, right? We can't do anything on paper anymore. Everything is digital. Taxes, you name it, everything is done digitally. But I think eventually it's going to happen, and I want you to think about, those of you who are using Android, think about Google today. Google today is this thing when you open your phone and you do like this, right? Okay, maybe I can't do it now, maybe I'm not. You get this personalized or customized information that even reads your Gmail. So oftentimes I have to pay this bill, I have received money from this, I have to do this and that. Here's the weather for where you are, and my next destination, I think, is actually Denmark. And then right after, I'll be in Portugal, like the next day, right? So I get 3 information about weather based on my previous behavior, and it's true, I search for weather all the time. because I have my habits. I need to be in the sun in the morning and read newspapers, right? But that's what old men do, apparently. So that is based on machine learning. That means the machine is learning about me, not everybody like me, about me, my preferences, my behavior. And based on that, it's feeding me information, and once in a while asking, is this relevant now? Driving directions, for example. It's actually amazing what Google knows about me, and I find it not too scary, actually, because it helps me. And I think other users will feel the same. I have to say, my wife, her name is Victoria, she would come and ask me, once she figured out it's actually also on her phone, because she's an Android user as well, she would come and ask me, how do I turn this off? I don't want it. I don't want it. Get rid of it. She would talk about it like it was a rat in the house, you know, because she do not want people tracking her and knowing what she's been doing and so on. Not even me. So maybe there's something there. But fact is, if you start thinking about marketing automation for your digital marketing activities, you might actually start liking it. Marketing automation is huge around the world, and the reason for that is that it works if you do it right. The great news for marketers is that if you automate processes, it saves you time. And that means the time you're not using thinking today, you could maybe get some of that time back. Think about your job. Think about how little time you actually spend to think about what you're going to do with that canvas. Would you agree that most of the time you're chasing deadlines, and most of the time you forgot why you're chasing that deadline? Because there's so much to do. There's so many elements. And some of us have given up even trying to manage it and control. We just chase that deadline. Some boss person screams, we need more visitors to the website, get something done. Tomorrow, okay, in India everything is tomorrow. In Sweden it would have been a week from now, right? In Denmark it would be a month from now, or take your time. So how long would you need, is how we would say. So let me start by just giving you a few pointers as to how you can get started down this path. Think about all your activities or actions that require a reaction from your market, right? It's as simple as that. You communicate, and you're hoping that people will react to that message. Marketing automation is about, if there's no reaction, you identify a new action. Let's say it was email, because it's easy to understand for everybody. People didn't click anywhere on the email, you will have a new action 2 days later. If they didn't click on that, you might have a new action 5 days later. That may not be email, that could be a call, for example. And if people do action, you will also have a new action, and sometimes that action is just thank you. We did a campaign for Bang & Olufsen some years ago, which was the thank you campaign, and it was the funniest campaign to do, actually, because it was so simple. It was everybody who clicked on any link in any emails, they got a thank you for clicking email. And I was laughing. I mean, I was laughing so hard when we launched that, because I think this is the craziest thing. But you know what? No campaign at that point in time had ever delivered so much interest as that one. Because people thought back then, this is 10 years ago, people thought that there was actually a person sitting there writing back, right? So they also started writing back, and so on and so forth. So, but sometimes it works to show appreciation, would you agree? Think about yourself, think about your heart. If somebody says, and you can feel that they really mean it, thank you for helping me out. Doesn't that feel good? It does. And we don't do it enough, I think, as people, where we mean it. And it's not like I just spend a week in the US and everybody says, yeah, good morning, how you doing? And they're walking away. And I start telling my life story. Yeah, this morning I'm doing really good because, but they're gone. You know, it doesn't mean anything. But what if we in marketing didn't just pretend, but actually meant it? Actually showed we were interested in having that conversation. We can use marketing automation for that as well. At least part of it, but part of it requires a real human interaction. So here's a piece of advice for those of you who are involved with these campaign things. Think about every time you run a campaign, you have 100% opportunity. 100% response opportunity is what I want to say. Most of the time, you have 2 to 10% who respond, and that means 90 to 98% who don't respond, right? In most marketing businesses, companies, brands, People are celebrating the 2 to 10%. Have you noticed that? It's like, 4%, 4%. Nobody's talking about the rest who didn't react. Have you noticed that? Isn't that crazy? Is it because we want to make life easier? I don't know. I came out of direct marketing. And in direct marketing, you learn very quickly that what matters is not those who responded, but those who didn't respond, and understanding why did they not respond? Why did they not react? Why did they not buy? Why did they not repeat that purchase, right? Maybe you can use this information as well. Ask yourself next time, why didn't people click on that email? Why didn't people go further from that page on our website? Why did they leave products in the basket without fulfilling the whole process? And so, so that's one component. The other component is the even more boring thing for many people who came out of traditional marketing. There's a lot of talk about big data, right? Everywhere. You can't open, I was going to say, a marketing-related, business-related site without reading something about big data. But I think what people are forgetting is that you can't do big data if you can't do small data. And right now, we can't do small data. Very, very few companies are able to do that. So what you have to start looking at, the small data is the information you have about people. You can get that from different places. You can get information by having people tell you who they are. You can get information by tracking their behavior, and of course you can get information about their purchase behavior. But look here. Shoppers, smart shoppers, Shopper Stop, what are they called? Shoppers, those guys. Do you think they're using all of the data that they're collecting about you as a member? Not much, no. Nobody is. No, it's not. I met the guys once from Shopper Stop, whatever. Yeah, I can't do that name. It's overwhelming the amount of data that we have about consumers, right? That have already purchased. So we need a real plan of how we're going to use that data. And that needs to be reflected in how you build profiles. So you're following me, because those profiles have to be actionable. It's not about the volume of data you collect. It's about how useful the data that you collect is in terms of leveraging that for better communication, more personalized, customized, relevant, timely communication. So my advice to you is to start collecting data first of all, from your website, from your blog, from whatever assets you have, your apps, your Facebook Connect, your whatever. Start collecting data, but beware about what kind of data you collect. See what kind of profiles do you want to build, how much information do you need in order to be able to use the information in future campaigns. Does that make sense? Talk to the IT people or whoever controls that data and see, how can I get my fingers deep into the database? How can we create a connect between my marketing database and your transactional data? But it has to be in such a way that I can understand it. So before I die, I just want to say, data is important. You're following me now? And if you're not into this kind of stuff, the technical stuff, have somebody create your dashboard where you can control these things, where you can drill down into data and understand which segments might be relevant for a given campaign now and shoot it off yourself. Make sense? Here's why. The better real-time active you are, the more successful. If you react to the fact that I visited your website 2 weeks ago, today, it's not going to be efficient because likely I've already purchased. I needed a new tie. Do you think I'm going to wait 2 weeks for a decision for a tie? No, not me, ma'am. I'm just going to buy that tie when I see the right one. You following me? So your data has to be real time as well. Remember we talked about the customer service aspect? Tie that in as well. If you can do the traffic lights, green is happy customer. Let me explain traffic lights to you because you're Indians. Sorry. I say the same to the Portuguese. Don't worry. Oh, they were here too. You got it from them. That's the thing. Yeah. Green means happy customer. Yellow is sort of warm. And red, of course, is an unhappy camper. Even if you're doing it that simple, it doesn't have to be anything really fancy-pantsy, right? If you can tie that into your profile so you know she's really an unhappy customer and over here is a very happy customer, do you see how you can use that in communication? You see how your remarketing campaign is not going to work with the person who's in red because she's so angry. In fact, it's just going to ignite her to talk shite about you in social media. Isn't that right? Are you following me? These should be visions. Let me skip this slide. It just talks about how much extra juice you can get by automating processes. And let's move on. So a way to get started with this, if you haven't already, is to define a non-event, any non-event, whether it's somebody leaving your website too quickly, somebody not answering an email, somebody not answering an SMS, somebody not responding to a telephone call, whatever it is. Describe a non-event and then decide what you're going to do about it. What action are you going to take? What type of communication are you going to do? Do that, get the experience, do it again, and now second time, show the numbers to the boss people. Are you following my train of thought? So now you have proof that if we do this, if we invest in this area, you'll need some technology to handle this. You don't want to hand carry it. You need some people to do some more copy, et cetera, et cetera. Then you're proving we can actually do it. We did a few tests. It works. Here are the numbers. This is what the funnel looks like. That's often what it takes. The non-communication is actually very important as well. Quick example here from Qatar Airways. I found out by accident that I was just a few points away from renewing my, whatever it's called, diamond membership. And for those of you who don't know, when you get to that level, the gift you get from the airline every year is a significant amount of money. Okay? So you don't want to lose that. Basically, the moment you renew, I don't want to give you the amount, but let's say it's a very significant amount of money that is deposited in your account just for renewing the membership. But they didn't communicate to me that I was only a few points away. Are you following me? So if I had not found out by accident that I was a few points away and I had surpassed the deadline without being able to renew, I would have been furious. And I talk to a lot of people every year. That's the unfortunate thing, right? So I tell bad stories like these all the time to people. Maybe I'm a bad guy doing that. I don't know. I'm using my own experiences. You see how bad it is? So if somebody's selling tires, somebody is selling something that needs to be renewed or updated or refurbished or whatever it is every so often, you want to have a database where you have these dates locked, right? That now it's time to come for a checkup. Now it's time to come for a new haircut. Now it's time to get a new dress. It's been 2 weeks and 4 hours since you last bought a dress. It's time to come into the shop, whatever it may be. Okay, hold on. Now it's, he apparently didn't, so I will do it.
Call me as soon as you can.
Warning. Message 1.
Hey, this is Dave.
Stop. Delete.
Message 2.
Hello, Mr. Carlson. Your reservation request for February.
Stop. Delete.
Message 3.
Yeah, Terry, that meeting at 4 has been moved up to noon. Call me as soon as you can.
Warning. Breakdown imminent. CardTrack recommends immediate service.
Oh no, my meeting.
To locate your nearest service station, turn right at Alameda. Continue north for 1 mile. Turn left at Hersham. Proceed 2 miles to the next service station.
Hi. Hi, Terry Carlson?
Yes? CarTrack alerted us you were on your way. I've got your paperwork ready to go if you'll just sign right here.
Great. Well, I guess all I need now is a cab.
CarTrack has arranged for a cab to pick you up, Mr. Carlson.
I guess all I need now is $1 million. Can't blame a guy for trying, right?
How many years, I should say, everything you saw in this video was fully possible at the time the video was created. How many years ago do you think it was created? 10, 12? 3, 4, yeah? 18 years ago now. 18 years ago, all of this was possible. And in fact, I think 18 years ago, I was the CEO of a CRM company, and that's how I found the video, I think, was to show the future. Because I was in the enterprise level where we were actually able to do all of this, because we could just code, customize CRM products, right? To do the triggers, et cetera, et cetera. But we haven't come far. That means it's an opportunity for you. If you can start looking at this behavior, look at the triggers, when do you need to ignite some communication, a service call, whatever it may be, I think it's going to help you tremendously. So we have just a few more elements left, and unfortunately I'm going to have to go through them quite quickly. I spent a little bit too much time on some other stuff because it's so great to be with you. I got a little bit excited there. That's the problem now, because now I have to go much faster. But I think the points, you will get the points no matter what. We spoke a little bit about creating a culture of experimentation, and that really is about accepting failure, right? Many companies, the guy who installed the surveillance cameras, he would be fired if he installed it like this, right? In companies where it's okay to experiment, he would be given other second chances and more chances, because what's important is not that he fails, what's important is that he learns from the failure. And in digital marketing, that is especially true. No one gets it right the first time, and if they do, probably because they're lucky, right? We have to practice a lot. I know I have practiced a lot, literally for 21 years. 21 years, and I still think I'm learning stuff from my colleagues in Portugal or wherever they are. Every single week I'm learning new stuff because they tested, they experimented. So that's very important that you get that into your system. Like I said earlier, reserve 10 to 15% of your budget and time for experimentation. The way that works is if somebody is your webmaster, right? You tell the webmaster it's okay to spend 15% of your time to experiment, to improve. So he might say, well, we have a problem with speed. So our website doesn't load quickly enough. So he's going to experiment with different solutions to increase speed. You will see that when you empower people this way, instead of just telling them what to do, telling them we have a problem, you have to fix it, and you have to fix it now. You don't eat until you fixed it, right? That's a completely different scenario than if you tell people, improve what you think should be improved. If it's somebody creating advertisement, allow them to test different types of advertisements, etc., etc. You're going to get much better results this way. Look at what happened in a southern state in the US where they had one of them lazy sheriffs. The lazy sheriff, he said, there's got to be a better way to catch criminals because this job is too hard having to drive around to find criminals all the time. Then he heard about Pinterest. His granddaughter showed him Pinterest. He thought, hey, jolly good Molly, that's a good way to catch them, their criminals. So what he did, I'll try to get out of that accent now, is he created a Pinterest account for the police station where they posted criminals, wanted criminals. And as you will have guessed, it was a huge success. Too much of a success because apparently some housewives, they're calling all the time. They think they've seen, you know, Sheriff, it's me again. I think I saw Leroy down by 7-Eleven. Maybe you should come get him. You know, and 2 minutes after, I saw James. He was standing over there by the neighbor grilling something and drinking beer. Whatever, right? So it came out of an experiment. This one you may have heard of. Again, we don't have time for the video. I didn't bring it. Look up BlendTech or Will It Blend. It's one of the most successful stories. It came out of a $100 experiment. This guy is the owner. He is now no longer active in the company. He is thankfully, and he so deserves it, again, very rich. He was somebody who was screwed over big time with his previous company by some financial investors. He created this over here, BlendTech Blender. Go and see the channel on YouTube. It's amazing what they have accomplished on a $100 experimentation budget. With video, with YouTube, no fancy-pantsy, just a camera on a phone and a good idea. A good idea that stays true to the product. It's all about the product. The product is the hero. I love it when the product is the hero, or the service, for that matter, is the hero, because it sells more tickets, so to speak. Testing things like this. I'm just going to ask you this. It's going to be the last question for today. Which do you think is most efficient in terms of getting people to click the last step? The two options are get my thing or get your thing. Who thinks my thing? Who thinks your thing? It's another tie. It is my thing. My thing wins 9 out of 10 times. So that's another thing for some of you to do. Go on your website, your e-commerce portal, etc. Check out your what we call submit buttons and see if you're using your or mine. Let me show you some test results. Create my account. Create your account. Create your account got a decrease of nearly 25%. Over here, it's a trial process. Start your free 30-day trial or start my free 30-day trial. My free 30-day trial increased click-through rate by 90%. This is not for kids, as you can see. It's dangerous. You wouldn't think that when you came here today, would you, that it's actually dangerous to use the wrong word. Just one word, not all the words. We're just talking about one word. One word makes a 90% conversion difference. And I'm not making this up because it's logical. If you understand psychology and human behavior, it's logical. If you know anything about alter ego and subconsciousness, all of this is logic. Go to your shrink, your psychiatrist, whoever you use for mental health, as we call it. Or is it only me? Okay. I have a subscription. No, that's like fancy pantsy in New York. You cannot go to a party and not have a subscription at a psychiatrist. That is just simply, then you're out. Then that's like, you know. Anyways, it's all about human behavior. Look at this. Remember we talked about images and we were talking about a little bit about advertising, and advertising lives in digital, absolutely lives in digital as well. Over here we have a Sunsilk product. Here she's looking sort of directly out at the audience. And the red colors here shows where there's a lot of tension. In other words, positive concentration about looking at a certain area. When she's looking out at us, our main concentration is in the headline. That's not a bad place. Over here, she's looking at the product, and you see we get more traction towards the actual hero, again, the product. It's a better example down here, actually. When the baby is looking out at the audience, we all look at the baby, oh, it's a little cute, kitty baby, right? This doesn't sell any tickets, let alone diapers. When the baby is looking at the headline, we actually manage to get some more traction around the product, but also people understanding the message. This is basic. This we have known for 50 to 70 years, long before I was born, right? Yet we're not using it. Don't make that mistake. Study these things. Don't believe me. Test it for yourself. But get that culture of experimentation going, because it's crucial to be successful in digital marketing. Being arrogant, relying too much on agencies if you're not one yourself, or clients' knowledge if you are, that's not a good idea. Start experimenting and texting. Good. So I've already alluded to this. I'm not going to cheat you for this film, although we have only 10 minutes or so left. Let me just show the video. Okay.
Emma. Emma. Huh? Emma. Emma. Every day it's getting on my nerves. Emma. Oh, I'm Emma. Emma.
Absolutely love this French campaign, and here are the reasons why. One, it's about the product. No, n'est-ce pas? It's about the product is the hero. Two, it says paper is still important. And don't let any 20-year-old digital dude or dudess tell you otherwise. 25% of all folks still in surveys say that they prefer paper over digital in digitally native countries, including Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the UK, and the US, right? 25% of people. That's what they say. But if you test what they react to, let's take a catalog of 60 pages, 64 pages on one hand, and a website on the other. Which do you think is more efficient in converting to sales? Catalog. For certain categories, such as vacation for families. It's logical. It's again common sense. The family are used to sitting in that sofa with that catalog around the same time every year to decide where they go on vacation. It's a tradition. It's not comfortable to assemble, and we have 5+ au pairs in my family, right? 5 people in front of one computer, even if it has a large screen. That's a little bit uncomfortable if it's more than 5 minutes. Are you following me? So I like the point about, don't forget, it's not about digital, it's about where your customers are, what they're doing there, and how you can engage with them. So, about your content, let me give those of you who are involved in the content production, creation, some ground rules really quickly. You've heard about the 5-3-1 rule, which suggests that if you take all of your content pieces, 5 should be other people's content. Oh, sorry, that's my new rule. No, the 2-5-2 rule. So 2, this is the old rule. 2 should be other people's content. 5, your own value-adding content. No, I'm sorry, I'm mixing it up. I'm completely, doesn't matter which one is what. And the last part is promotional content.
It's 17 hours.
The old rule said 5 of other people's content, 3 pieces of your own value-adding content, and only 1 promotional content for each 9. I finally got it right. My model is 2-5-2, right? So 2 other people's content, 5 of your own content, and 2 promotional content. So if you look at your stream in Facebook, for example, this is how it would play out. Now you're supposed to ask me, why did you change the model, and does your model 2-5-2 work better than the old 5-3-1? You asked me, right? Yeah, okay, I don't know. That's supposed to be a really good joke. It's been a really good joke in the last 5 countries, I swear. Even in Delhi, actually, I was there a month ago. You figure it out for yourself, right? But there's no such thing as over-promoting if it's relevant to your audience. Are you following me? There's no such thing as don't sell in social media. It's all about the premise. What is the expectation? Vodafone in Egypt has millions of people on their Facebook page who are disappointed if they don't get a new offer every day. Are you following me? They're not pretending anything. They're not trying to teach people how to be better at telco or anything like that. They're giving a new offer every single day, and now they just won a huge award, something. Make the audience part of the experience. When we talk about mobility, test as well. This is from, what's his name, Robert's company. Okay, Scratch It is called. Specifically for email in mobile, people get the email and then they scratch here. You know the scratch principle with paper. That works in digital if it's served up well. And okay, this is Victoria's Secret, so I guess a lot of guys would like to scratch that thing. Maybe some girls too. But it can be used for many other categories as well. So when we talk about building social media, the immediate value is in the share. Keep that in mind. Like, not like. Look at her. Amy, 1.17 million followers, and this is on Twitter. She's a consultant. She's not a celebrity like me. She's just a consultant. And how the heck? I have like, I don't even know how many. Maybe I have 15,000 or 14,000 or 17,000 or something like that followers on Twitter, right? And I don't deserve a single one of them, actually. But she's got 1.17 million. So I'm like, does this work? And how did you do this? But what you do is you go and see, so what kind of engagement? Are you looking at this? She's got like, okay, 1.17 million. Keep that in mind. 2 retweets, 1 retweet, no retweet, 3 retweets, 6 retweets. Are you following me? There's no traction. So the only value she's getting, and I don't know her, and I'm sure she's a good person, the only value she's getting is that she can tell other people when they say, how many followers do you have on Twitter? Then she'll say, well, I got myself over 1 million. I can't remember the exact number, but it's probably like 1.17 million. And what do you want to say? How many did you have? Well, I got 422. But anyways, the one with 422, if she has the right people and they came for the right reason, she might be more effective than the one with 1.17. So here's what I'm saying. I created this is the last model you're going to get. You're going to get one video and then we're closed. I created this model as a way for you to remember what really matters. Social media is a big part of what we do in digital. So again, I've taken AIDA, Attention, Interest, Desire, removed the A and replaced it with lira. Lira, if you don't know, is the old Italian currency. But the only reason I do that is because if I said, I wanted to say IRA, but then I would be saying aid IRA. And if anyone have been following the news, IRA was a terrorist organization. Never mind. Okay, lira stands for like. It means nothing. It's just an entry ticket, right? It's sort of an invitation to the party, if you will. So don't count the likes, but count interaction, recommendation, which you could call share if it was Facebook, for example, but most importantly, the actions that lead people to your website, to your blog, to your YouTube channel, to your Pinterest, to your some sort of transaction. That's what you should be counting. Those are the numbers you should be showing the boss and be proud of, even if they're small right now. Get into that kind of thing because it's going to change your behavior. Then you're not going to be focusing on getting more likes just because now the chairman understands what a like is. And he'll go to me and say, well, now we have over 5 million likes. Who cares? Would you agree? Who cares? No one cares. What people care about inside the company is it delivering value to the company? So I want to summarize with a short video. So we show the video. That means I'm going to run 3 minutes over time. I do apologize for that. I'll give you the 3 minutes back in an email, okay? I'll show you this video. Then I'll say a few words in summary, and I hope you'll help me. I haven't cleared this with the organizer, but I hope it's okay. I would love to do a group hug when we're done, like all of us. Would you do that? Would you spend 5 minutes and we get a group? It's not really a group hug. I just like to call it group photo. Would you help me with that? Excellent. Good. So we'll do that afterwards. Let me show you the video.
Right.
No, I'm having a bit of a nightmare, actually.
What's the matter?
Well, I've had all the international CEOs from around the world in this room. In 10 minutes, the annual summit's supposed to take place. They've flown thousands of miles to get here, and my translator hasn't turned up. I need to find someone who can translate into 7 different languages.
Well, I can do that. Yeah, I did a TEFL in my gap year.
Welcome back to London, ladies and gentlemen. This is Helen Marsh, who'll be our interpreter today. So, without further ado, let's address section 1.1, multinational profiteering for the financial year 2005-2006. Helen.
Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy. Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy-gurdy. Gurdy. Oh, bud. Oh, bud.
No, ma no. Che cosa ta dici, vado dici?
This is not my sandwich.
I think there's a lot of truth to this. I think a lot of brands everywhere in the world pretend that they know us as customers or potential customers. They pretend they care. But the fact is they don't know anything about us. So often when they pretend, it comes across the way that this translation came across. Completely irrelevant. And in digital, as well as in all other aspects of retail marketing or any other type of marketing, it's important to get back to basics, where people were before digital, before all of this technology, which was at a place where individuals valued the personal connection they had with a shopkeeper, somebody who worked in a store. That personal service, where they didn't use databases to remember who are you, where there was no loyalty cards. It was just two people, one remembered the preferences of the other, and for that reason the other person came back every 6 months to get a new dress or whatever it may be. That's where we need to get to. Digital, it can be very successful if you're able to have that one-on-one communication and differentiate all that you do, the assets in your ecosystem as well as the activities that you do. But it's difficult, it's hard. Like I said, I've been doing this for a very long time. The digital part, not alone, but the digital part since 1995. And I'm still learning, and I'm still surprised sometimes how difficult it actually is. But I'm glad that I learned early on that marketing is something you become good at by experimentation, by doing it, not by talking about it. So that means every single person in the room who is in marketing or somehow involved in it can actually become very good at it. But not by reading books, not by going to conferences like this. This gives you inspiration, and it's very important, but by actually doing it yourself and being prepared to learn. Demand to learn from these experiences. But nevertheless, take that elephant. When you look at your canvas, take the elephant and slice it into small pieces that you can manage. Remember the strategy? That direction may be 3-5 years out, not 10. 3 to 5 years. Figure out, how do I trans this so that I'm actually able to step by step get to where I want. And remember that 1% incremental improvement per month is more than 12% per year, right? So even if it's just 12% per year and you are an already established brand, it's a massive success, wouldn't you say? If you can improve by 12% every year. So I want to thank you so much for allowing me to go a little bit over time, but also for laughing at my jokes. Even if they were really not categorized as jokes, you were still very, very polite. I get to tell people on my next trips how wonderful a day that I had here. I don't know about you, the evaluation would show, but I hope you got some inspiration home, and I wish you best of luck with everything you do, and take care of yourself. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.